Now on News 3 Live at 6, a heartbreaking day for the sports world with the tragic death of NBA icon Kobe Bryant. We'll have the latest on this morning's helicopter crash in Southern California, killing Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter, and 7 others. Bryant's death has stunned sports fans around the valley. We'll hear from some of the millions who admire the former Los Angeles Lakers star.
News 3 starts right now.
And we begin with the latest developments on the tragic death of NBA legend Kobe Bryant. Bryant was one of 9 people killed in a helicopter crash late this morning in Calabasas, northwest of Los Angeles. Adding to the tragedy, we've confirmed that his 13-year-old daughter was also killed in that crash, along with at least one of his daughter's basketball teammates, her parents, and the pilot. 18 people with the National Transportation Safety Board are now en route to the crash site northwest of LA.
Our team will be looking at the history of the pilot and whatever crew was on board. We'll be looking at maintenance records of the helicopter.
We also know Kobe Bryant has several family members here in southern Nevada. We're told they're on their way to Southern California so the family can be together. We have team coverage tonight with the latest on this tragedy. We begin with News 3's Lauren Clark, who spoke with an aviation expert about the circumstances surrounding this crash. Lauren.
Well, Steve, many questions remain on this crash, claiming the lives of NBA legend Kobe Bryant and his teen daughter. Now, I spoke to national aviation expert and pilot Reed Yadon. He tells me the helicopter carrying Bryant and 8 others is a corporate favorite for transportation. Now, Sikorsky has confirmed the helicopter, an S-76B, was involved in the crash on its Twitter's page. Yadon says the helicopter has a generally good reputation and excellent visibility. According to the company, the copter can carry up to 12 people. Yadon says the helicopter seating arrangement can be configured in different ways. He says it all depends on how plush the owner wants to make it. So he says having 9 people on board doesn't sound too unusual. He says while this helicopter is certified for single pilot operation, many operators prefer 2 crew members for safety reasons. Yadon says the poor visibility at the time, such as reports of the fog near Calabasas, could play a role in the crash. He says deteriorating conditions can make a pilot go off instruments for flight reference instead of visual reference, and that can be tricky. In a press conference this afternoon, an NTSB official said investigators will be looking at the history of the pilot, maintenance records of the helicopter, records of the owner and operator of the helicopter too. Yadon says he's examined traces of the flight profile before the crash, and he says the descent of this helicopter shows it was going down very quickly.
It was descending at a rate of nearly 5,000 feet a minute, which is pretty rapid. In other words, the aircraft was really coming down. Something happened.
Now, the NTSB and FFA are investigating the crash. Those investigations can take up to months. Reporting live here in the studio, Lauren Clark, News 3.
All right. Thank you, Lauren. We'll come back to Jesse Merrick in just a few minutes with reaction from UNLV as this tragic story continues to unfold. So be sure to stay with News 3 on the air and at news3lv.com for the latest developments. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority is responding to this tragedy. They say out of respect to Bryant's family and fans, the LVCVA has decided to postpone all activity related to tonight's debut of the city's new ad campaign. This is a live look at the iconic Welcome to Las Vegas sign, which is one of the many spots where celebrations were scheduled to coincide with the new Las Vegas promotion. Steve Hill, the CEO of the LVCVA, released a statement saying, quote, "The hearts of everyone in Las Vegas are with the families and friends of those lost." Fans around the world have been left in shock by news of Kobe Bryant's death. That includes members of the UNLV basketball team as they face number 4 ranked San Diego State. They paused for a moment of silence before the game to remember the Lakers superstar. Our Jesse Merrick was there and continues our team coverage now live from the Thomas and Mack. Jesse, this has obviously been a rough day for a lot of people in the basketball world.
Yeah, Steve, it definitely has. I, just like everybody else, really grew up watching Kobe as a kid, so definitely a tough day to be around a basketball court, but, really overall a tough one to unpack for sure. Here at the Thomas and Mackey noted the moment of silence as Las Vegas tipped their cap to the Mamba. Along with that, there were a handful of fans in attendance rocking Kobe jerseys and Lakers caps. After the game, we caught up with the team about Kobe's sudden passing, their initial shock to the news, and what he meant to them as basketball players.
Like, Bryce said, my condolences go out to his family. Kobe Bryant is arguably the best player in the world to ever play basketball, so, that hurts for the basketball community as a whole. But, like Bryce said, we had a game and, that's not what we were focused on. It hurt at the beginning. It was like, wow. But, we had a tough team to come play, so we couldn't really think about that too much.
Obviously, he's a basketball icon, and we'll keep keep his family in our thoughts and prayers. And it's a very unfortunate tragedy, and a lot of our guys looked up to him, and he's a role model and an idol to those guys. So we'll keep him and keep his family in our thoughts and prayers.
Again, guys, obviously all of us shaken up by this sudden passing of Kobe Bryant. And again, you got to think about the kids here today that found out about this news just a little bit before tip-off, had to reset, get ready for the biggest game of the year for them here against San Diego State. One they came up just short in. And guys, we will dive into this game later on in sports. But for now, Steve, back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you, Jesse. And once again, we'll have the very latest on this story coming up tonight on News 3 Live at 11, and you can get the latest details as they happen on our website, news3lv.com. Also tonight, local detectives are investigating the discovery of a man's body in the backyard of a home near Paradise and East Russell Road. We're told officers responded to that call before 10 a.m. Still no word, though, on the man's name or how he may have died. If you have any information that might help investigators, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers at 702-385-5555. Nearly 30 survivors of gun violence have been in the Valley this weekend for leadership and gun safety advocate training. Every town is one of the largest gun violence awareness groups in the nation. It was formed after the mass shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School. We spoke with a therapist who assisted families after the 1 October tragedy here in Las Vegas. She says today is about continuing the healing process.
It's a sense of togetherness when we walk around here, when we're able to go around and see the mementos. We look at the pictures that are there. There are people's children, people's spouses, partners, their parents, and we look at, each individual with somebody's special person.
Organizers say the group works together across the U.S. to build a survivor network, and this retreat included several survivors from the western U.S. One of the biggest rock bands from the 80s will be performing in Las Vegas, but only for a limited time. We'll hear from one of those famous musicians coming up. Plus, find out why an act of nature could make it impossible to use any of the technology that you might take for granted, and this is not science fiction. I'll have that special report a little bit later in the half hour. Jerry.
Well, Steve, it's late January, though you might not realize it if you were outdoors today. We're heading into early February. What can we expect weather-wise? I will let you know up ahead.
Out. This week, the legendary rock band Foreigner will return to the stage for their residency at the Venetian. It's the latest legacy band to perform in Las Vegas, and Foreigner isn't just performing the fan favorites, they're also giving back to the community. Our Heather Mills had a chance to talk with them before the show Friday night, which featured students from Las Vegas Academy.
And I think it's really exciting to see their faces and hear their experience about being on a stage in front of people, probably for the first time in their lives. We get letters from choir directors and parents and students, and I think we get the better end of the deal by having them come up.
Tickets are still on sale for the limited residency, which runs through February at the Venetian Theater. After that, Foreigner will head out on a nationwide tour. Coming up in sports, more reaction to Kobe Bryant's death, plus highlights and reaction from UNLV's big game against the nationally ranked team, San Diego State. Stay with us. This is video from a NASA space probe back in 2012. It shows a massive solar flare, something called a coronal mass ejection, that hurled trillions of tons of... This is video from a NASA space probe back in 2012. It shows a massive solar flare, something called a coronal mass ejection, that hurled trillions of tons of highly charged solar plasma into space. How fast? Nearly 7 million miles an hour. This was its relation to Earth. Our planet would have taken a direct hit had we been 9 or 10 days farther along in our orbit around the sun. Fortunately, these don't happen very often, but UNLV physics professor Michael Pravica says a direct hit to Earth would quickly get dicey.
The moving, charged, accelerated particles from
And welcome back. Stop for a moment and think about all the modern conveniences we take for granted. The television you're watching right now, your computer, your smartphone, even the electronics that run your car, even your refrigerator. They can all be rendered useless by an electromagnetic pulse caused by a massive solar flare or the detonation of a nuclear device in the atmosphere. And it's why state and federal agencies have been quietly preparing. This is video from a NASA space probe back in 2012. It shows a massive solar flare, something called a coronal mass ejection, that hurled trillions of tons of highly charged solar plasma into space. How fast? Nearly 7 million miles an hour. This was its relation to Earth. Our planet would have taken a direct hit had we been 9 or 10 days farther along in our orbit around the sun. Fortunately, these don't happen very often, but UNLV physics professor Michael Pravica says a direct hit to Earth would quickly get dicey.
the moving, charged, accelerated particles from the sun coming into the ionosphere, coming into the magnetosphere of the Earth, essentially will create a lot of unpredictable events.
Unpredictable, like a beautiful aurora that might be seen as far south as the Caribbean, but perhaps devastating to most electronics.
So anything that runs on solid-state electronics, which is just about everything, ATM machines, anything that would be run on the solid-state electronics, computers would be kind of fried. literally fried.
And because a similar electromagnetic pulse can be caused by a nuclear detonation in the atmosphere over the U.S. by a rogue nation, EMPs are firmly on the federal government's radar because of tensions with countries like North Korea and Iran. President Trump signed this executive order in March of 2019, calling on the U.S. Departments of Defense, Homeland Security, and Energy to make the U.S. more resilient to an EMP, a threat with the potential to knock out electricity over wide regions of the nation for extended periods of time. Our neighbors in Wyoming have begun that work on a state level.
Planning for a long-term power outage, it could be due to a solar flare or coronal mass ejection, as well as some sort of adversarial type event, is something that we are talking about.
It's a low probability, but a very high risk event.
Shahzad Latif, Vice President of Transmission with NV Energy, says there would likely be power outages across the electrical grid caused by an EMP, but NV Energy and its partners in the western U.S. are working hard to shield equipment to minimize damage and the length of the outage.
Every equipment is being assessed on what the impact can be, and then we determine how we can protect our assets. Nevada is in very good shape, but it's the entire grid, the interconnected grid, that matters.
Latif says Nevadans should also think about preparation, what you'd need to do during a prolonged power outage until repairs are made and your high-tech life returns to normal.
Every technology that you use, you have to be prepared on your contingency plan that if that technology does not exist, how would you communicate?
News 3 received a statement from the state that reads in part, the Nevada Department of Public Safety, Division of Emergency Management, and Office of Homeland Security continuously work in collaboration with federal, local, and tribal partners regarding potential threats and regularly hold training for emergency preparedness and response. Wow. So nothing to worry about from the sun in the immediate future, but sunshine.
Hard to believe that mankind went without electricity for thousands of years.
And now we're so fragile.
Yeah. I date back to the Dark Ages. TV was black and white when I was a kid. Can you believe that? Oh, well. Let's go to it and take a look at our skies today. And this is the view. Look into the west from the North Las Vegas City Hall roof, and you will see a setting sun, a lot of clouds, and not just high clouds, but mid-level too. And that helps suppress temperatures a bit, but we still made it well into the 60s with a scattering of 70-degree readings. Here's the view to the east from the Springs Preserve. A lot of clouds out there, and we are getting some shower activity out in Mojave County, but no surface reports here in our immediate area. Wingard Elementary, 63, down from a high of 70, actually 69.84, but we rounded it off. 40 was the low, 37% the relative humidity. Barometer in the 209.9395 range. It's Rhodes Elementary, Elkhorn, and Buffalo. They made it into the low 60s today, 56 currently with the northwest component to the wind, but it's light. A west wind at 4 to the South Valley, Walker International College, and the 95, 60 degrees down there. 60 right here in downtown Las Vegas, 61 downtown Henderson, Green Valley 59, same the lakes, 55 in Summerlin, and 58 down at Mountain's Edge and the Southern Highlands. Meanwhile, around southern Nevada, it's 60 in Mesquite to 48 way up in Panaca, 69 down in Laughlin, 59 over in Pahrump. That would be Pahrump Valley High. Our official high today, 65 degrees, a full 6 above normal, and 5 above normal on the low, and our 19th day this month above normal, and we're going to be above normal for the rest of the month. Current temperature 60 out at the airport to 58 at LAX, 66 down at Phoenix, and 47 up in Reno. Some very cold air back east, and that's being steered into the northeast from the Great Lakes by a storm up in Canada. Meanwhile, jet stream down here very strong along the Gulf Coast, a lot of moisture down there. Meanwhile, for us, we've got the surface reports of the moisture hitting the ground over in Mojave County and possibly over into Washington County, Utah, but the core of the energy is up to our north, and rain should stay up there, and some of it will be winter-like. They're really getting hammered in places that they have been hammered in the Sierra. Meanwhile, for us, 45 overnight, clearing skies, a northwest wind at 5 to 10. Temperatures pretty much where they've been the last few nights, and then highs tomorrow up a degree or 2 or 3 from today with more sunshine. Not a bad forecast, remaining mild. We'll go for 67. There should be a few 70s around the valley. Check out your temperatures through the day, very much in the comfort zone, and winds will be in the 10 to 15 mile an hour range, but closer to 10 than 15. The real winds come in midweek, Tuesday night into Wednesday night. We'll get some winds in here, courtesy of a system that comes through dry but lowers us down into the lower 60s, but then back up to, that's not a misprint, Steve. We're talking, we are talking low 70s next weekend, which is February.
Like a football game going on next weekend too?
Oh, yeah, there's something. It's going to, the weather's going to be super here.
Good outdoor weather to go watch. All right, thanks, Jerry. Coming up next, a reminder about the goodness of the world as a school comes together to help a beloved employee. We'll be right back.
It's now time for
Las Vegas is becoming a sports hub. With the Knights, we all know what they've been able to do. Football coming, WNBA here.
Maria needs to talk to you. Jonah,
purple and gold to honor Kobe Bryant and the entire
You got a minute.
in a moment of silence
Ages.
in honor of number 20.
Ages and ages. Really? Not yet, I'm holding it.
Who's the quarterback?
Plug good, go.
No, Reno, I don't think ever won a Super Bowl. That was 72.
No, that was the Ramoz. That was the year, yeah.
How about we mention that at the very end? I mean, you can. Go ahead. That's fine. That's fine. I mean, because I'm starting with the side. It's starting with the side. It should be. Okay. Oh.
It's now time for the News 3 Station Casinos Sports Desk.
Las Vegas is becoming a sports hub. With the Knights, we all know what they've been able to do. Football coming, WNBA here. It's truly becoming a sports city. We're out here for a basketball tournament. So I have my girls team out here, and there's no better way to learn than to come watch the pros do it.
Well, that was May 19th, 2019 at Mandalay Bay's Event Center for the Aces season opener, where I interviewed Kobe Bryant, who was sitting alongside his daughter Gianna at the time. Now, the NBA world was shook up. Many tributes across the country at games today, from New York in Madison Square Garden, where they had Lakers colors on the outside of the building. They also had his numbers 8 and 24 on the floor. Fans in the stands crying. Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks, who has trained with Kobe Bryant, he wore number 8 in tribute for Kobe today. I also spoke with Marcus Banks, who played for UNLV, the Running Rebels, also was briefly a Laker and played against Kobe as well. He knew him personally, and he had this to say about Kobe Bryant's passing.
Early on in my career, he used to come, into Boston, and we used to go and, shoot pool and stuff. Very, very competitive guy, man. It's really, really tough to talk about it because it's somebody that got drafted, 13 as well. So we hold a lot of stuff, and I know he's a mentor to a lot of young guys in the league. But I got a chance to actually, build this thing with him and watch him grow as well. And like I said, like my heart and everything it just goes out to the family and and friends and stuff like that, and just got to keep pushing.
And there was also a big UNLV basketball game today. The Rebels hosting the only undefeated team in the country, the San Diego State Aztecs, at the Thomas & Mack, the top two teams in the Mountain West Conference. And folks, this game, it began with a moment of silence for Kobe Bryant. And when the game started playing, really the only player for UNLV that had much of a game, Bryce Hamilton. You're looking at him right now. He had 29 points. He was 10 of 17 shooting the ball. Shocking enough, he was the only running Rebels player in double figures in this game. Only player in double figures in this game. Trey Pulliam for the San Diego State Aztecs. He had a very good game off the bench. He scored 18 points. Malachi Flynn had 21 points. In the end, it was UNLV falling to the Aztecs 71-67. Our Jesse Merrick was there and has more. Jesse.
Yeah, hey guys, Brian, you said it, man. Tight game here for the Rebels. And look, we all know the saying, basketball is a game of runs. The Rebels had their fair share of them. However, with the game hanging in the balance late in the second half, they just went cold. And we're outscored 12-2 for roughly 7 minutes at that point. San Diego State took a 55-47 lead with just under 5 to play. The Rebels then managed to get back within 3, but another run from San Diego State closed it out as their fourth-ranked defense lived up to the hype.
They were switching a lot of screens, switching a lot of handoffs, and trying to keep the ball lifted on the top of the floor. I didn't think our movement and pace was at the level we needed. They're really good if you let them get their defense set. And I think we needed to be more intentional with our push at times to avoid that.
Well, they took pride in guarding the ball one-on-one, and they were very well at getting back to the man on the drive. We just have to get the ball moving side to side. I feel like we got very stagnant at one point and got out of what we do, and that gave them a chance to go on a good run.
Wow.
Close game. All right. I think we're having a little trouble there with Jesse's mic. Let's go ahead and take you back. Live look at the strip right now. You can see the link is now in purple and gold in honor of Kobe Bryant tonight.
Yeah, and that's not the only place. As I said, they did that at Madison Square Garden. They usually have the colors of the Knicks outside, and tonight here in Las Vegas, they're honoring Kobe Bryant. The Lakers actually played a bunch of games here in Las Vegas before as well.
Tough to get your arms around tonight. Tragic loss today. That's our news for now. For the latest news anytime, visit us on Facebook, Twitter, or news3lv.com. Thanks for watching. See you tonight. about the circumstances surrounding the crash that took his life. Plus, reaction from UNLV players on the loss of the Lakers legend, who did as much off the court as he did on the court. As the world continues to mourn the loss of Kobe Bryant, we'll talk with an aviation expert about the circumstances surrounding the crash that claimed his life. Plus, reaction from UNLV players on the loss of the Lakers legend, who did as much on the floor as off. As the world mourns the loss of Kobe Bryant, we'll talk with an aviation expert about the circumstances surrounding the crash that claimed his life. Plus, reaction from UNLV players on the loss of the Lakers legend, who did as much off the floor as he did on the court.